All right, what's up, fellas? Hope all's well, man. This is Victor Jones. I want to take a few minutes today and go through this NFL benefits package. Our retirement summary, that the plan we get all the time. I know they mail it to us annually, and I've been digging into it probably this last year because I know my time is coming. I turned 55 October 2021, so I'm getting closer. And then I know a lot of guys have a lot of questions, and you might not know this, but I'm a State Farm agent, and this is my wheelhouse. So this is what I do. I actually sell in our office life policies, annuities, long-term care stuff. The ladies behind me, they actually do all my auto and home, but mainly I focus in this office with the life policies and annuities, and really that's with the CBA and our benefit package. That's exactly what it is. It's a life policy in the beginning, and then it annuitizes and turns into an annuity. I know we all had questions about that. So I just want to take a few minutes and go through it. Before we go through it, that long-term care. Matter of fact, Transamerica is offering us long-term care. I just went through my interview. It's a good resource to have. Just like we didn't think this retirement would come to us. 55 is right here sooner than we thought. Then there's going to be an opportunity out there, a time in your life where you might need that long-term care. The new CBA is offering it to you at no cost to you. It comes back about $150 per day. That averages out to about $4,500 per month, and that's home care and in a facility. And the facilities over here in the DMV, this Metro DC area, and I'm in the Rockville area. It's gonna run you in a minimum about $5,500 a month. When we was in North Carolina, I had my aunt in the long-term care. It was closer to 4,000. So location is key. Dealing with price, but it's a good resource to have. So look at that. Heads up, is a cognitive piece in there as well. Just like the concussion protocol test we went through for the guys that went through it. Very similar. It's about 30 minutes total. The cognitive piece is about 15 minutes of the interview. So I'm really curious to see about that because with the concussion thing, there were some criteria they were looking for, and I'm not sure exactly what they were looking for with the long-term care. I hadn't got the paperwork back yet, and I'm curious to see if I get awarded those benefits long-term care, which I didn't get for the concussion protocol. I'm assuming that's a lot of guys on this video today. All right. So with that being said, if you don't have this, definitely call the benefits department. That number is 800-638-3186, 800-638-3186. Also, they have it online. It's NFL Players Benefits. Benefits is plural.com. And they can offer you those resources. Secondly, I'm going to give you my contact information just in case you have questions. And also, I'm going to do a second part of this video. The first part is really going to just be an overview of the plan. The second part is going to be what I plan on doing with my resources. Since the new CBA, they increased my benefit to a point where I'm going to use it in some ways that I can, put some money in my pocket and then play with some of this money to support my family. I'm going to go over that plan. I'm going to go over a plan that if you don't really need the money, you was planning on letting it sit and wait. You can have a choice between the NFL holding that money or you can do some things with that money yourself. I'm going to show that plan. And then, we've all been through some things. So then that guy or that family that needs these resources right now at the age of 55, some things you could do to have most of that money in your pocket and still have some things to protect you and your family. So that's part two. You don't have to go to part two. Really, I just want to put this one out to explain, all the questions that might occur just from this book. All right. And then once we get to the end, we'll talk about what's going to happen in plan two. All right. So my information just for the resource, as a resource for this program or for what we're doing today is 301-424-3269, 301-424-3269. Once the ladies get on the phone, just tell me you're with the NFL. They'll transfer you over to me. And if you want to email me, which is probably better than we can schedule time, my email is victor@victorpjones.com. P as in Paul. All right, fellas. All right, so let's get in this thing. So the way it works out, the first thing we're talking about is the surviving spouse and surviving children benefits. We all have that currently now. If you played in the league, invested, you have that. As a retired player, you have that life policy. Now, the old policy was 48 months at $9,000 a month. It started for that 48 months, and then after that 48 months, it either reduced like 4,800 or 3,800. I can't remember. and then it would be the remainder of that surviving spouse's lifetime. The new CBA has come in and adjusted that now. It increased to 60 months at $13,000 a month. So after the 60 months, it goes to a reduced price at at 6,000, and then they pay that 6,000 out for the remainder of that surviving spouse or minor child. One thing new in the CBA, they also included if you don't have a surviving spouse and a surviving child, minor child, let's put it that way, they rolled it into a sibling or a surviving parent. That wasn't in the old collective bargaining agreement. That's in the new. So it used to be in the old, if you didn't have a surviving spouse or you didn't have a minor child, they didn't pay that money out. So something new within the new CBA, just a little tidbit on that. So that's a bonus. Now, definition of being married is your surviving spouse will receive that that payment is as long as she's alive. So if you pass away before you start taking your benefits, and your surviving spouse gets that 60-month, $13,000, she'll get that payment. If she lives 25, 30 years, she'll get that payment as long as she lives. The second criteria would be if she ever gets remarried, those payments stop. So the two things going to stop the payment is your surviving spouse's death and surviving spouse gets remarried. All right. Children, definition of minor child is any child under the age of 19. So if you're under the age of 19, you'll get that death benefit all in one lump sum for a child under 19. Multiple children, they're divided out evenly. Or if you're 23 and still in school. So if you're still in school, college, taking classes at the age of 23, then you are still eligible for that survivor spouse and child benefit. All right. If you have some mental or physical disabilities, then at that point, if those occur before you turn the age of 19, then they'll pay those benefits out to you. Or if they occur while you're still in school at age 23, they'll pay those benefits out to you as well. All right. So those are the two definitions of how you're going to get that survivor benefit. Now, that's the life policy of it. The way they do it in the book is after the benefit piece. I thought it was included in the benefit piece is separate. So now the way it works is the life insurance piece is in place until you start taking your benefits. So now that when I turned 55 in October of 2021, that life piece is gone. So once I start taking those checks for my benefit package, that life piece is totally gone. Now I'm in this annuity piece. So they annuitized it into an annuity. So the life piece is when you pay it into a policy for a period of time, and we use this money as a State Farm agent, we use this money corporately wise to invest and do things in the market and run the money. And then at that point, when you pass, then we use that death benefit to pay the insured. Now, the annuity is totally different. So we trying to figure out how long you're going to live, and through this lifetime, we want to pool the money in and then stretch that money out for a lifetime. The greatest thing about what they do with the CBA is we can have it as survivor, and that could be your spouse and some other things we'll talk about as well. So two different plans, but pretty much working the same way. The difference between the annuity is when you pass, in most cases, those payments stop. All right, so we're trying to figure out how long you're going to live, and then we want to pay you through this period of time. So then the criteria for getting credited seasons, you need 3 or more credited seasons. You know, that changed with the new CBA. Used to be 4, but now they made it into 3. I think it's a great thing. We brought in a lot of hundreds of guys, I'm assuming, that's now eligible for this benefit, and that's a big deal. Now we know that everyone with the new CBA is in that $550 range. You know, it used to be a time it was really confusing. Like I had money in the benefit, credit seasons, and I had some of the legacy. You know, we didn't know we had to add that up, come up with a number. It might have been 367, 380, 900. Everybody was different. The new CBA has just squashed all the questions with the amount. It's all $550 if you played before 2013. So if you played the seasons and you got out the league before 2013, then that all is in that $550 pool. Everything else, the 23rd season, they like $575, somewhere in that. Currently, they like $700 and some change right now. All right. We start taking this benefit package at the age of 55, and if you played before 1993, you're eligible for this early payment benefit. early payment benefit. It gives you 25% of the value of the benefit credit pension part, not the legacy. This is the benefit credit pension part. It's a good resource to have. I used some of that funds to get my State Farm agency started. It was accessible. It was there. I didn't have to put money in my pocket. It did, in some cases, lower my death benefit piece, but I'm not sure what it did to my benefit credits. I'm going to find out here soon if it adjusted it anyway. All right, so that's the EPB, the early payment benefits. That's available for you if you played prior to that 93 season. All right, so what determines your benefit monthly payment? There's a couple things in there that affect your payment. One is how many credit seasons do you have? So for me, I played 7. You do the math, 7 times 550. That's like $3,800 to some change. So I know for a fact that's what I'm gonna get at the birthday of my 55th birthday, and then I'm gonna use that money to do some things with it. So that's one criteria. If you play 10 years, math is 5,500. If you play 3 years, it's like 1,600. So it's just a matter of putting that in an equation and figuring that out. Pretty straight to the point. Now, what year you take it is going to make a big difference too. Because if you take it at 55, that monthly payment is going to be a little lower than if you took it at 60. But then if you took it at 65, it's going to be a little more than if you took it at 60. So the age when you start receiving your pension is going to be significant too. It's also going to extend you into that survivor, spouse, and child benefit as well. So those two things work together, okay? At age 65, the majority of us will need to take that money. It doesn't extend past 65, so you can't hold it to any longer. But if you played between the seasons of 89 and 92, they have extended that to 70 and a half. So you can extend it a little further if you choose to do that, if you played through those 89 to 92 seasons, all right? And then the last thing would be what option you're going to choose. The NFL gives you 6 different options to choose from. We'll go through those pretty soon here. I think it's in the 2 or 3 slides. And we're going to go through each one of those 6 and explain the benefits of one or the other, and then allow you to make a decision what's best for you and your family. So it's the amount of credit seasons you have, when you decide to receive that money, and then what option you're going to choose to pay out this money. All right. All right, and it's broken into 2 different sections. We talked about it previously without even really getting into it. You have a benefit section and you have a legacy section. All of us vested players are in this benefit pool. I'm in the benefit pool and the legacy pool because I played before that 93 season. If you didn't start before 93, then all your money is going to be in this benefit pool. All right. So like I said earlier, I played 7 years. So in my benefit pool, it averages out to about $240 per credit season a year. So that piece is going to be about $1,500 and some change. And then my legacy piece, where all they dump this new CBA money in, is going to be in that pool, which is around $310 per credited season. Now, these two don't have to work together. They're total separate entities. You can take the benefit package at age 55. You can take the legacy package at age 60. But just be reminded that once you take either one of them, that survivor benefit is gone, that we talked about, the life policy piece. All right. So they don't have to go together. You just got to figure out how you're going to move that money if you decide to take it apart. All right. So the bottom line is, if you played before that 2013 season, pretty much you at that $550 mark if you take that money at age 55. And then, it decreases as you leave it in it as years go on. So once you receive that money, it's a couple things that's going to happen. You're no longer eligible for the disability benefit from the disability plan. All right. Your spouse and surviving children would no longer be eligible for certain pre-retirement survivor benefits. And like we talked about before, the longer you allow that money to sit in this pension plan, the shorter amount of time they plan on paying you for that pension plan. So, for example, I'm taking mine at 55, you take yours at 65. Now, what is the total amount if we both lived to 70? And somewhere down the line, that number should be close. It should be close, 72, 75. We should get to the same number. It's just a matter, I have my money a little longer, and you let yours sit in the pool a little longer. All right, so it depends on what's best for you and your family to make that decision. And just remember, too, once you start taking those benefits, that life policy is no longer in place. So choosing when to receive your pension. That's one of the questions. When you want to do it. I mean, let's do the math. Some of that stuff I'm gonna do in Plan B. You're gonna see how it adds up. What's the difference? Do you want to keep that money in the pool with the NFL? Do you want to try to put some of that money in your pocket? It's all on you. And then what plan do you choose? And when you start seeing these plans, you're going to understand what we're talking about. The first one, matter of fact, goes into the next slide. It's called the Life Only Pension Plan. It's 6 total, remember. This is the default plan. If you don't call the NFL Benefits Department and age 65, they're going to default you in this Life Only plan by default. And what it is just pretty much what it says, life only. You're going to receive your benefit package. So, for example, in the book, it uses the illustration of 3190. That's the number they put in there. The 3190 is what your benefit's going to be. That might be the benefit and legacy all in one. But at age 55, you got 3190. And I'm going to use that as a resource because when you hear what I'm talking about, you can follow along within the benefit package book. Okay. So life only pension is 3190 every month for your lifetime. No survivor benefits. Once you pass away, they stop making those payments. And that's pretty cut and dry. The next one is the qualified, hold on, I skipped too far. Give me one second. Oh, here it is. The qualified joint and survivor annuity. So the joint and survivor. So what they're saying is we adding you and your spouse together. So at this point, your spouse is your beneficiary. You got 2 choices, 50% or 75% of the benefit. So, for example, if you pass away, your wife will receive 50% of your benefit that you're receiving from the NFL. Now, what they do is they give you a little less because they know they're going to pay someone else a little further. So now if you have 50%, you can imagine if it's 50% and compared to 75%, your payments are going to be a little lower than 50% because they're going to have to fund that payment for your wife at 75% if something happens to you. So, for example, with the illustration that we talked about before, we're still going to take that 3190 number. You wouldn't receive that amount because it's not a life only. You will receive abbreviated portion of that money is 2836. So you receive $2,836 on a monthly basis. If something happens to you, your spouse will get half, 50%, which will come out to 1418. She'll get that payment for her lifetime. Now, on the flip side, if something happens to your spouse and she passes away before you do, then they have this feature in there called the pop-up benefit. The pop-up benefit is going to raise that amount back up to $3190 for you if your spouse passes away. That is for 75%, 50%. It's also in a life contingent plan if you add your spouse in there as well. So you have a pop-up effect on a few options that you can select from, and then all the other ones you do not have a pop-up effect. So we'll talk about that as we go forward. So that is the qualified joint and survivor annuity at 50% and 70%. So that's 3 of them. Next one is the life contingent annuity. So that's the one we talked about. Now, if you have your spouse in there, it has that pop-up effect. But what's so different about the contingent pension plan is you can add in your parents, children, brother, sister, some dependent that will be beneficial for that survivor benefit if something happens to you. It can be at 25%, 50%, 75%, or 100%. Like I said, the only time it's going to be a pop-up if that beneficiary is your surviving wife, and we still work with that 3190 number. So let's take 3190, and we're going to offer a survivor benefit to your sister at 75%. Now, your monthly payment is going to be lower than that 50% joint survivor rate. Now it's going to be $2,650. You get $2,650 on a monthly basis. Something happens to you, your sister would get $1,988 for the remainder of her life. And if something happens to your sister, and there will not be a pop-up effect, you will still continue to get that $2,651. All right? Hope that makes sense. If you have any questions on that, definitely holler at me and I can explain that. I think it's 2 more. All right. Oh, yeah, life and 10-year certain pension. So life and 10-year certain, a little different. You got to guarantee 10 years at a certain rate. And what's so different about it is you got to guarantee 10 years at a certain rate and a survivor benefit. If you live 10 years and continue on past that 10-year period, you stay at that same rate. We just kick out the survivor benefit piece. So, for example, that $31.90, you get it at age 55, you're going to receive $3,031. You receive that $3,031, you pass away in 5 years, your spouse is going to receive that $3,031 for 5 continuous years. At age 10, it's no more payments, right? If you live 8 years, 2 years, she gets it 2 years. At the 10-year period, there's no more payments. If you live 10 years and keep living 25 more years, we're going to continue, or not we, State Farm is going, not State Farm. The NFL benefit package is going to continue to pay you $3,031 for your lifetime. Then it almost turns into the life only piece, and you just lose that beneficiary after that 10-year period. All right? I'm not paying anybody, so don't call me and ask for no money. Promise you that. All right, last one. Life only pension and Social Security adjustment. You must be accredited season before 1993. And what they're really doing is using your Social Security early payment. So if you're not familiar with Social Security, you're allowed to take an early payment just like we can with that early payment benefit at 45. Social Security has an early payment benefit at 62 if you need to take the money at a lesser amount. Very similar to what we're doing with the EPB. Same thing, they reduce your amount. I got mine in the mail not too long ago where if I waited till my full maturity is 67, I have a certain amount right now around $3,000. I'm sure by the time I get to 67, it'll be a little bit higher. But if I took it at 62, I'm pretty sure it'd be lower than that, like $1,900. I think I know what it is because I think they send it on that form. We'll talk about it in a slide or two. So at that point, what they're going to do is adjust your Social Security up to a point where it'll help your benefits. So the adjusted Social Security is age 62 is $1,665 a month. So what they're going to do is pay you a higher rate from age 55 to 62 when your Social Security kicks in. So at 55, you start receiving the payments of $4,065. Up until that point when you turn 62 and they know your Social Security is going to kick in, then they're going to reduce your payments, the NFL benefit package, to $2,400. Then they're going to add in that Social Security at $1,665, and that gets you right back to that $4,065 number. All right? So that's the life-only pension with Social Security adjustment. And if you don't know this too, you have to take your Social Security at age 70. 60, 67, 68, 69, they do a 3% interest rate increase to help people stay on. But that's a whole nother conversation, a whole nother video. We might do that one too. All right? A few more, we almost out. So those are the 6 different choices. If you're married, that's a whole different game too, because if you're married, if you divorce, and your divorced spouse may have a judgment against you to go get these funds. That's in the packet. I didn't make that up. If you have questions about that, I think you should probably get an attorney. They even say if you remarry, your prior spouse can have access to these funds. So you might want to talk to someone about that if that's your situation. If you divorce in the midst after you take your pension, say for instance you start your pension at 55, you get divorced at 60, they keep that same survivor benefit. That doesn't change. They don't go in and start tweaking it. So if you get divorced after you start taking your pension, they pretty much go get that pension if something happens to you as a survivor benefit. All right. Only way that wouldn't happen if during the divorce decree they sign some waiver, and that's in here too. So that's one of those things you might want to talk to your attorney if that falls under you. All right, last 2 slides. We're going to talk about one more thing. I'm going to show you from the benefit department what they send you. They send you the plan at each age. So when you call the request from the NFL benefits department, they sent me 55 all the way to 65. What numbers I would get, what would be my payment in all 6 categories, and it's a good resource to have. So definitely do that. They'll send you in your benefit piece, and they'll send you your legacy piece. So definitely contact them so they can get that information to you so you can make a good, sound decision. When it comes, they're going to have your date of birth, the effective date of each year when you can receive that pension, the credit seasons, you can make sure that is correct, the beneficiary's date of birth, that would be my wife, and ask if I'm married, They asked me, did I have a EPB? I did take the EPP. We talked about that. If I'm eligible for legacy, I say yes. Special 4, no. And then under that, it gives me my retirement benefits at age 55. So my retirement benefits at age 55 would, on the benefit side alone, would be $16.90. Okay, so if I showed you my legacy piece, that would add in the additional amount to get us to that 38 and some change number. All right, so that makes sense. So they got the joint survivor, they got the Social Security, contingent, 10 years certain, all those numbers are there. And this is where I saw my Social Security piece right here. It says, we figure on estimate benefit, your Social Security at age 62 would be $18.99. So they even gonna give you what your Social Security would be if you took that at 62. So all that information is in there, and they have it at age 60 is $26.85, and age 65 is $45.34. So you can see the difference if you let it sit in a little longer, how that payment could be higher, and you just got to realize they're expecting you to pay it for a shorter period of time. All right, so definitely call the NFL benefits department or email them. They might be able to send it to you just on email. All right, last slide of the day: total and permanent. I never received it, total permanent, but I know a couple guys that's been on it. I read through it, and it's going to be a lot of information in there. You might want to call them and kind of get a better understanding what that whole total and permanent is going to do at the age of 55. So from my understanding and reading through it, at the age of 55, you don't have to take your pension. You don't have to take it at 55. You can hold off until 65. But from what I read, they're going to reduce that from your normal total and permanent payment. So if you're receiving, I don't know, $11,000 and your benefit package is $5,000 a month, then at that point it's going to turn. You're going to start getting payments of $6,000 if you don't take a benefit at that point. And then once you take your benefits, they'll bring you back up to that $11,000 number. So I definitely, if you're on TP, I would definitely call and ask those questions. All right. Hey, I appreciate you letting me get the time to go over this thing. I hope I didn't confuse anybody. A lot of information. It's pretty much what I do every day, so it just made a lot of sense to me once I dug into it. Like I said, if you have any questions, definitely holler at me. My number again, 301-424-3269, or you can email me at victor@victorpjones.com. And if you have any questions, just let me know. We can kind of schedule time to talk through it. Secondly, I appreciate you allowing me to have the time, man. All right, bye.